Hello YouTube, and it's good to be back, almost back from the grave, yeah. And before I start the explanation of what's been going on with me for the last couple of months, I'm just gonna read a poem by the great Dr. John Cooper Clarke that sort of like summarises how I felt in the last few weeks. What me worry, I should care, shit for brains, why for hair, I've seen the future, I ain't there, things are gonna get worse. Velcro slippers and a spandex waistband, washed up on planet wasteland, zipped up like a nylon spaceman, things are gonna get worse. Things are gonna get worse, nurse, things are gonna get rotten, make that hearse reverse, nurse, I'm trying to remember everything I've forgotten. Things are gonna get worse, nurse, things are gonna get crappy, colour me perverse, nurse, bad news always makes me happy. Things are going to get worse, nurse, things are going to get dismal. Smite me with a curse, nurse, and make it something abysmal. Things are going to get worse, nurse, I ain't optimistic. I've got a mouth like a purse, nurse, and I live in a bungalow smelling of piss and biscuits. Things are going to get worse, nurse, murder by statistics. Take me back to the first verse, the last one's too pessimistic. Euthanasia, that sounds good. An alpine neutral neighbourhood, and then back to Britain, all dressed in wood. Things are going to get worse. Yeah, so about 8 weeks ago, maybe 9 weeks ago now, things nearly did get worse. What happened was, about a month before that, I went to the doctor's with an earache, and he looked in my throat and he saw there was a few spots in my throat, and he said, "Oh, you've got a throat infection, it's spread into your ear." And he gave me a course of antibiotics, and what else did he give me? Antibiotics, and he gave me something else, can't remember what it was now. Anyway, so it cleared up, and I had a month of feeling all right. And then, like I say, a month later, it come back again, this earache, and it was getting progressively worse and worse over three weeks, I'd say, before I went in hospital. I was popping ibuprofen like it was going out of fashion, and trying to do me listing and what have you, but getting nowhere. I had several visits back to the GP. They just kept giving me more ear spray and different tablets. And it got to the stage where it was getting really bad. And I think it was one Monday morning, I thought, right, I'm going to go to the doctor's. And I went there. He looked at me. He said, "Oh, you're just going to have to live with this. It's just an ear infection. It'll clear up." And he sent me on my way, basically. So that night time, my jawline here, all that area, came out really, really bad. It swelled up. I was running a bad temperature, and I phoned my auntie up, who lives in Hertfordshire, and she said, "Look, you know, are you bad?" I said, "Well, I'll be all right, but you know, I am feeling a bit rough." She says, "Right, well, I'm going to come down." So she drove all the way up from Hertfordshire the next day, and she could see how bad I was, and she made me an appointment for the doctors on the Wednesday, I think it was. We saw a different doctor, and she looked at this and she said, "Right, you need to get straight to hospital with this." So I went to our local hospital, and they couldn't see anything wrong with it. They sent me home. They just said, "Oh yeah, you know, it's going to be it's a bit of an infection, what have you. You know, do you want to go home?" I wanted to go home for some daft reason, and they sent me home. And that night, my auntie was coming in every 10 minutes and checking on me. I was what do they call it? Where you're seeing the wrong things. I was hallucinating, and I was running a sweat, and all I could think about was her coming in and mithering me every 5 minutes, or it seemed like 5 minutes at the time. Anyway, the next day we got to Blackburn Royal Infirmary again. I got admitted onto one of the wards there and put on antibiotics. They seemed to think it was just an infection of my sort of like saliva gland, but evidently when they did a CT scan, they realised it was the mastoid, which is behind your ear, that had got infected. They started putting me on antibiotics to clear that, which it did. It had some immediate effects. It started to clear it, and I felt a little bit better. You know, I wasn't seeing things and having double vision and all the sorts of things that were going on. But then they did a procedure on my ear where they stuck a needle in the right in the middle of my ear, to relieve pressure behind the eardrum, but nothing came out, and it was very, very painful. And I ended up swearing in front of all the doctors and everything when they were doing it. But they did that, and then they sent me for another scan, which said that the blood wasn't draining from my brain properly due to this infection. So then I was rushed to Preston Hospital, and I spent 7 weeks there. I had a mastoidectomy the next day, which is an operation where they drill behind your skull and try and have a route about and you know, find different things, pus and what have you. I'm sorry if anyone's eating if they're watching this, but you know, this is what happened. That happened. They sent me for an MRI scan, but the MRI scan found that I had multiple abscesses in my brain. So I came back and I had to have another operation there where they drilled my skull at the top and drained all that off, and then I've been on IV antibiotics ever since. This week I'm back home, as you can see. I'm back in the hovel. We've got a lot of stock to list, but it was 7 weeks of IV antibiotics. At the moment I'm on oral antibiotics, a massive dose every day. The last MRI scan they did was a lot better than the others. Several of the abscesses had disappeared and the others had shrunk. And I mean, I feel well in myself, you know, I feel fine. There's been a couple of hidden benefits to this episode, really. One is that I've dropped 22 kilos in weight, which is good. And I'm eating a lot healthier now, and I intend to keep eating healthy. I mean, at the height of my weight last year when I had my annual checkup, I was a massive, gargantuan, ginormous, Zeppelin-like 162 kilograms. I mean, you know, I probably weighed as much as a small family car. I'm down to 140 kilos now, but I'm determined to get that to about 110 over the next 6 months. Since I've got back over the last couple of days, been going for walks and what have you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the weighing machine every week at the doctor's and chart my progress. I might even do a little YouTube series on that, so that we can see what's happened and what I'm eating and what I used to eat and what I'm not going to be eating anymore, and just a little bit of a wake-up call really to change my lifestyle, even though this that's happened is nothing to do with my lifestyle. It's just an infection. It's nothing to do. I've had a heart scan in the hospital and I've passed that with flying colours, which is an absolute miracle. Considering the weights that I've put on and how unfit I've been. But, you know, that's one of the benefits. And the other benefit is, as you can see with my nostrils, my nasal polyps seem to have disappeared. Now, I've not been on steroids, which usually makes these disappear and come back. I've not been on any steroids while I've been in there. My sense of smell's come back. The only thing that's changed is they've put me, I was always prescribed an antihistamine, but I never took it every day, and they've given me that every day, so I think that's what may have helped. There may have been something else, I don't know with that one. So a couple of little benefits there. I really wanted to make a video, not just to tell you where I've been and what's happened and all that, because obviously while I've been in hospital, I've been watching a lot of the live videos, and I've got in the chat and told people what's happening. So and a lot of people have found out from that, and there's other people who've messaged me as well, friends and what have you. And there's a lot of people that I want to thank, really, for all the good wishes. But first of all, I want to thank my Auntie Christine, because she came up, and I think if she hadn't have come up, I wouldn't be talking to you now. I would probably have died a couple of nights after that. I mean, I didn't think it was that serious. But from what the doctors have said, it's a very serious condition, and please folks, don't watch any YouTube videos on brain abscesses, because, you know, it's gruesome. Yeah, so I just wrote a list of people here who I can remember who've stood by me and messaged me and what have you. First, we've got Steve Hicksey, who you all know used to make YouTube videos. Well, he's a good friend of mine. You know, we're proper mates and that, and he's been up and visited me, and his wife Debs has been as well several times, and he phones me almost on a daily basis to make sure I'm all right and that lot. So thanks to Steve. Then next we've got Anthony. He's down as Anthony Shirley Davis, but it's Anthony, you know, the 99p man, the guy who used to do all the auctions on eBay. Again, he's visited me several times, bought me a couple of packets of biscuits, which I made last a couple of weeks, by the way. I didn't, you know, I'm not overeating anymore, so I didn't eat them all, both packets in one night. But, you know, just the odd biscuit at the end of the night was all right. And he visited me on several times, and we've had a bit of a laugh at that, and he's been in touch with Facebook Messenger. There's been several other people on Facebook Messenger as well, who I'll get to in shortly. Then we've got Kath Palmer. Kath Palmer's, you know, I've been friends with Kath Palmer for a long time. I've been out of touch with her for a while recently, but she messaged me and wished me well and what have you. And then there was Nick and Andrea. Nick and Andrea obviously heard on one of their live chats that I'd gone in hospital, and Nick contacted me to find out what was wrong about that. So thanks to them. Then we've got Walter from Antiques Arena. Obviously, I'm on his Facebook group because you know I sell that sort of stuff, the older stuff and the collectibles and what have you. So big thanks to Walter as well, who's wished me well. Then we've got Gary Nicholson, who I know off Facebook Messenger, and I've bought some postcards off him in the past and what have you. Andrew up there in Scarborough, he's a great lad. If any of you know him, he's asked me several times if I'm all right and keeps regularly checking on me. And then we've got David Winfield, who's in the Facebook group Antiques Arena. He's into similar sort of stuff that I'm into, and he's been messaging me regularly as well to make sure I'm okay. And then we've got Jane Chappell. Now, Jane Chappell is my ex-partner's sister, younger sister. I've not really spoke to her for a while because they live down in Eccles and I live up here, and it's just one of those things we don't really, because it's ex-partners and that, you sort of like drift apart. But she's come forward and Facebook friended me, and she messages me now to make sure I'm okay and everything. So thanks, Jane, and appreciate that. Then we've got Caroline, Mrs. M, which we all know who Caroline is. You know, she's a big reseller. I mean, I don't know if she's reselling now. I think she still is. And she does all the YouTube lifestyle videos and what have you down in Devon there. And, you know, she's had quite a few messages backwards and forwards between me and Caroline. And then, of course, we've got everybody's favourite Care Bear in the community, Les Miller. I mean, he's been on holiday while I've been away. He went on his honeymoon to Morocco, Marrakesh. He had a lovely hotel there with a beautiful view of the sky because it had no roof on it. Kept trying to tell us it was 200 years old when it was about 20 years old. And I just loved his regular updates of his holiday and the regular photos of piles of rubble everywhere. And then we've got Ryan James. I've known Ryan for a long time, not spoke to him for a long time, but he's wished me all the best and what have you, and he's messaged me a couple of times on Facebook. And there's many more who slipped my mind, but after all, I have had a brain injury. So, you know, it's just one of those things, but it's been good. And then, of course, I can't forget Ed, my son. It's a bit like an Oscars acceptance speech, this, isn't it? Ed, my son, took over the eBay business. He's not listed much while he's been able, but he's been concentrating on the dispatch, and he's organised the room and tidied it up and organised the stock. Now we've got it's about 313,000 now, because we've not done much listing the last couple of months, obviously, and things have sold. I think we've got £313,000 worth at retail listed. and that brings us in about anywhere between 7 and 10 grand a month at the moment, depending on how busy it is in the month. But obviously, because there's no listing being done, that's dropped down to the 7 grand mark. I've listed yesterday and today. Now I've come back. I've not killed myself like I used to do. I've just put 20 items, 30 items on yesterday, and probably put another 25 on today. But sales have picked up instantaneously. A couple of items I listed yesterday sold for £110 combined, which obviously would have dropped our turnover yesterday if I hadn't been listing from 348 to 228 for the day. So, you know, as I've always said in this job, the stuff that you list, usually about 20% of it will sell within 7 to 10 days of you listing it, and then the rest of it just goes into your stock. And depending on what you're selling and what your sell-through rate is, it becomes like a residual sales figure. Now our sell-through rate's quite low, that's why we have a massive inventory. But because we've got a massive inventory, we have a pretty regular turnover, really. I mean, if we'd have been listing the last couple of weeks, we'd have been up around the 10 grand a month mark. I'm quite confident of that. I think we did 8.5 in April, and I think we're on target to probably do 7.5 in May. So it has dropped a bit due to the new stock not being listed. Now, what have I got here? I've given you notes on the condition. I've told you about the nasal polyps. I've not told you about the funny scars, which I won't be able to show you because one's behind my ear and one's here where my glasses are. Now, I don't wear glasses normally. I only wear them when I'm doing something like this or I'm reading or what have you. But I do they're only reading glasses. So obviously when I've been on the phone and what have you at the hospital, I've had these on, and they cut me here and they cut me there. So I've got a big massive dent behind my ear now that I can put my finger into, because these have acted like a plaster cast in a way where they've drilled my head. So now I can do anything and they're never going to slip off. I mean, it's a bit of a Brucey bonus, which is, you know, one of the things that I like to say. Rest in peace, Bruce. But, you know, it's a freebie. Look at that. Catching. Perfect. I could do anything now. I could do gymnastics in these. Well, I couldn't do gymnastics, but you know what I mean. I could go on the Revolution, they're not going to fall off. So yeah, and it's the hospital has been like the most bizarre experience I've ever had. I've been regularly updating my mates on the little group chat that we have of what's been going on, and believe me, they probably don't really believe what I've been writing, but it's been, honestly, it's been a melodrama, not just with my condition, but things that have been happening. I mean, this ward that we were on was so rough, it had bouncers. You know, we had a mad lad from Liverpool who started attacking everyone, tried breaking in my drawer one night, came in and started riffling through my drawer. So I pulled him, I said, you know, that's my stuff, and he gave me some sort of bullshit excuse, and he went out. So I stayed up all night waiting for him coming back, because I thought, if you're coming back in here, you're getting it big time. You know, I'm gonna bury you, basically. And he never did, luckily, but he got sectioned, and then he was being guarded one to one by security guards. But the cheeky sod even got them making him pot noodles and stuff, you know. We had a nurse faint on the ward because when she was watching someone being given stitches. We had another guy try to escape, and they had a red alert, and there was like security guards running down the ward, and they locked him in a side room, and he trashed it like the worst rock musician you've ever seen in your life. It's just like all sorts has gone on. We had healthcare assistants at the night time who used to come in, and you think they were opera singers. Instead of whispering to people, they'd come into our 4-room cubicle and be shouting, "Do you want me to roll you over, love?" and wake everyone else up. And then they'd be banging the waste bin like mad. So one night it just got ridiculous. They were banging this waste bin. I mean, I thought she was throwing an anvil into it. It was like she was throwing away dressings, and it was like she was throwing anvils and bricks in this bloody bin, because what she was doing was she wasn't letting her foot off the pedal and letting it lower down. She was just like going bang, bong, bing, and it just like, you know, you don't get a lot of sleep in hospital as it is. But, you know, this was just getting beyond the pale. So the next night I pulled the nurse and I said, look, you're going to have to sort this bin out. You're going to have to tell them to do it. Thingy. She says, do you want me to give you some earplugs and an eye mask? I said, no, I just want you to stop fucking banging the bin, please. And to say, we had a good night's sleep. It didn't bang that night. So there's all sorts happened on this. You know, it's been an adventure. It's been scary at times. I've been scammed more times than a Tesco ready meal. I've had probably about 200 injections, and I had a line put in me, a central line put into my chest, so they didn't have to take blood off me. They could just take it off that, and they can just put IV drip instead of keep putting cannulas into you. So there was all sorts. But thankfully, I feel better, and I feel like the reborn reseller, which is what I might change my name to. Now, I'm still not going to go into detail about what I sell, but I might do regular updates on my figures and my sell-through rates and stuff. And I might do another couple of little videos if I get time, you know, or if I make time. But, you know, another John Cooper Clarke, very short poem this, that makes me feel like this is what I'm going to be, and it's called Action Man. Obviously about the doll, the Action Man doll. But now I've come back, I'm still not out of the woods. I've got to take all these antibiotics, I've got to have other MRI scans, I've got to go to outpatients, I've got to go to a warfarin clinic because they've got to keep my blood thin because of this swelling that was there caused by the infection, not caused by any sort of heart disease or anything, thank God. So there's a load of different things. So for me, I mean, I love John Cooper Clarke, but I'm from Manchester originally, I'm a Manc, and I love anything Manchester, and I'll do anything I can to promote Manchester acts. I mean, John Cooper Clarke was a poet who came to fame in the 1970s. He was a warm-up for the Buzzcocks and other Manchester bands at the time, and he was known as the punk poet, but he's not really a punk. He's just an excellent wordsmith and a really funny guy, and I recommend anyone to watch any of his live sets on YouTube because the guy is hilarious. He's well into his 60s now, he might even be in his 70s. He still dresses the same with his shaggy black hair, and he's always got his sunglasses on and his suit, and he's very slim and frail looking guy these days. He's had his issues over the years with drug addiction and what have you, but he's now a doctor, and some of his poems are actually on the GCSE syllabus in certain education authorities. So as a homage to John this time, I am gonna do Action Man. So Action Man, give him a scars and khaki to wear, remove his balls, he'll go anywhere. He doesn't speak, he doesn't dare. Death sneaks, he isn't scared. Minus balls, he doesn't care. Jacks beware, Action Man. He can hack in some bomb Berlin, reduce your car to a heap of tin, wage war, what's more, win. Puncture skin means nothing to him. A human grenade minus the pin, that's him, Action Man. A chin with a thin Kirk Douglas cleft, squad by the bleeding left. Don't shout, he's deaf, head over heels in love with death. Beware the wrath of the man bereft, no marriage plans for Action Man. And that's where I sign off. Thank you and good night.